Hey there, welcome to the show. It's Monday, August 16th, 2021. My name's Les Solgrove. This is Simply Des Moines 15-minute market update, the report that is produced every week, and we look back at the previous week's activity, look for any highlights that have maybe happened from the week before, and also take a look at maybe some forward indicators as to where the market is going. So appreciate you joining me every week, and let's get started. So the top story this week, we've got a couple of milestones, and the milestones seem to be just hitting about every other week right now. One of them in particular is year-to-date closed sales. We've topped 10,000, and that puts us 894 sales ahead of this same time last year. Now, early on this year, I was making some predictions. I thought we might get around 18,000 closed sales, and I'm going to kind of pull back a little bit on that. The reason why is I'm kind of looking at the distance here between last year and this year from closed sales, and really from about 7,000 sales on, we haven't seen this gap increase. And so I think at this point in time, I'm going to back off a little bit and say that we probably should have no problem hitting 17,000 sales in 2021. But I don't know for sure if we're going to get much above that. And here's why. If you notice, the blue line or the blue section here indicates 2020 closed sales. And if you recall, last summer, there was no state fair. We really didn't send kids back to school, so there wasn't a lot of distractions for, and this kind of goes into what we're going to talk about next week. We didn't see a lot of distractions for home buyers doing back to school stuff. Vacations were kind of limited. So the real estate market last year kind of just kept on rolling into the fall. And that's why we kind of saw such a big end of a year last year, is that there were not a lot of things keeping us back from thinking about home sales. This year, we're kind of returning a little bit back to normal, if you call normal, 2019 anyway, business. Make no doubt about it, we still have a lot of buyers out there. They're buying pretty much everything that comes on the market as quickly as it can, but maybe not in hours. Now it's staying on the market for a couple of days. The time of seeing a lot of homes sell above list price are kind of, backing off quite a bit. Multiple offers, I don't think we're seeing quite as many of those. So, I think the market is definitely on its downward turn for the year. I don't want to say we're slowing down, but we're definitely on a downward turn. We've peaked. And with that all in mind, I think that if we continue to kind of just keep this same pace ahead, around 900 to 1,000 sales ahead, that will put us definitely around that 17,000 closed sales. So that's why I say I'm not sure I'm ready to give up on 17, but I don't think we're going to hit 18 at this pace, just with the way things are kind of going here. Another top story this week, another milestone. We have finally jumped above 2,100 homes for sale. Now, if you recall, our low back in, I believe it was late May, we were as low as 1,643 homes for sale. So we're about 500 homes more on the market than we were back then. And actually, pending sales, which we really won't talk about this week, pending sales are kind of slowing down. So if the buyers are maybe slowing down a little bit, or if we're just getting more inventory, I think this is just a sign that inventory growth is good. We started off January 1st. Our high of this year was 2,224 homes for sale. We're going to hit that probably within the next week or two. The blue line up above is where we were a year ago at this path. And if we keep on this same trajectory, I would say by end of October, 1st of November, and maybe sooner, somewhere in there, we will probably cross over where we were a year ago. And that would be good as well. Will we get back up to 3,500 homes for sale, or a little over 3,600 homes for sale like we started 2020? No, I really just don't see that, because we just don't have that time this year yet to get back up there. Next year, we could start off strong and build back up around that. That would be wonderful for the market, both wonderful for buyers and sellers, because a lot of sellers will be coming out onto the market if they feel as though they have something they can also buy. So let's hope that that's the case there. So a couple of things about what you'll see when we have our inventory start to increase. We're starting to see the median list price of homes also decrease a little bit, which this is a look at the homes for sale inventory levels from 2019, our last quote unquote normal year, 2020, where it kind of leveled off near the end, and then 2021 median pricing has really risen this year. And at one point, we were close to $320,000 median list price of homes for sale. And so we're kind of seeing that drop a little bit, which is a good sign that some of the lower market inventories are starting to come onto the market. I know that new construction isn't coming on quite as quickly, so that's also kind of helping that. So let's do a little overlay here. The red line is the median sale price. So it's always kind of nice to see, the cause and effect. If list prices are going up, then naturally sale prices are going to go up, and you kind of see that mimicking here, almost at the exact stretch there. Although there's some anomalies here, you got a pretty good jump there early in the year, but then it kind of settled in and followed pretty much right along. Now, if you remember, sale prices are basically based on old data, because it's got to go under contract and stay under contract for 30 to 45 and then sometimes 60 days. And when we have a lot of new construction, it'll even stay under contract for 4, 5, maybe 6 months, because that's the building time. So as we start to see the median sale prices, it looks like it's leveling off. That's not as a result of current listing prices here. That's a result of activity earlier, 30 to 60 days back, where we kind of see this leveling off. This is what we're kind of seeing here. And I really expect with this rise of pricing that we could actually see a little bit of a rise just before we go into the last couple of quarters of 2021 here. So don't get discouraged if you think that if you're selling, that pricing isn't going to go back up. It's just following along kind of what the homes for sale list prices are doing, and so we should see a little bit of a jump before it trails back down. So the week in review, really about the only thing I'll point out on this one this week is that our new listings added, which we'll talk about more in a second, are down this week, and there's kind of a reason for that, which we'll talk about in a second. We're still outpacing offers, so we had more offers accepted than we had homes for sale, and yet our inventory is rising. So that just tells you that the homes are coming on the market a little bit faster than some buyers are buying, but we're pretty much holding steady, 1 or 2 week over week or year over year here at 286. That's pretty good. Are back on the market starting to come up a little bit, and that will kind of come out when we have more homes go under contract, and buyers maybe are having a little bit of second thoughts, or they're not passing inspection. That's going to be an issue, I think, as we move into the fall. We've got a lot of sellers that were kind of spoiled when they didn't have to do repairs, for example, or maybe home inspection items were overlooked in a busier market. They're maybe not overlooked quite as much right now, and that's probably leading into the reason why we see a little bit of a jump in back on market percentage at 23. We should be around that 15 to 18% to be more comfortable. So we are up a little bit there. So of course, there's our year-to-date closed sales. I'll skip open houses because we're going to talk about that at the end here. Again, here's our weekly count for the third quarter of homes added to the market, and I've notated this for this year. You can kind of see here we've got the blue ribbon and the cattle and the hogs and the animals. This is Iowa State Fair week, so next week we'll have this same denotation on the weekly activity. But you can see, and it just depends on well, last year we didn't have a state fair, so this wouldn't necessarily be a drop because of that. But I do expect, because of state fair, we're going to see some of the for sale inventory drop a little bit. So I would be happy if we would just beat 260 next week, let alone try to kind of get into our goal of 325, because we certainly missed it this week. Kind of that 325 is a healthy goal to be shooting for listings. I do see inventories, obviously inventory's picking up, but it'd be nice if we could, get another 30 or 40 or 50 homes added to the market each week. That would go a long ways to building our inventory. Spotlight this week. Now, last week I had teased that we were going to talk about market distractions and things like that. And the reason I'm going to push that off a week, calling an audible here on this weekend as I was working on stats for today on Monday. And I decided, rather than talk about the main distraction, which was going to be about the Iowa State Fair, I started to do some research on Iowa State Fair listing and sales activity. And as frequently happens as I'm doing my research, I discover that sometimes it's a little more difficult to find the actual information I'm looking at or wanting to look at, or sometimes I just get too deep into it and I get down this hole and I really start to look at things for a longer period of time. And that's what's happened this past week. I went all the way back to 2010, comparing the 11 days of the Iowa State Fair and lined those 11 days up over each other. And next week, I will have a real cool report that shows the number of homes coming on the market each week, like 2 weeks before the Iowa State Fair, the week of the Iowa State Fair, and then the 2 weeks following the Iowa State Fair. The research became really, really detailed, but I think it's going to be really, really worth looking at that next week. So that's why we've held off. And so this week, instead, let's just talk about open houses and what's really happening in that world. Created a couple of new reports, and sometimes I create a graphic just so I can visualize in my own head where we are or what the market is doing, and I look at it in different ways. And in this particular graphic, what you see is 3 lines. The blue line is all the open houses. So that is the resale open and the new construction open houses added together. Then the orange line is resale properties, and the gray line is new construction. It's very common for our market to have more homes open that are new construction, because that's the way the new construction kind of markets their properties. We see a couple of dips in the marketplace. Week 13, that would have been Easter weekend, where we traditionally don't have a lot of open houses. And week 26 was 4th of July. So those are kind of your 2 big weekends that we really don't see a lot of open houses. We'll see a drop around Thanksgiving, and possibly near the end of the year, it just slows down anyway. But for the most part, the 2 big drops we see are Easter and 4th of July. So this is looking at 2021 open houses, and all 3 of them kind of split apart. Let's now kind of look at the all open houses. So this blue line, it's going to look a little bit flattened because we're looking at it compared to 2020. But this kind of gives you an idea here. 2020 open houses were pretty decent up until COVID hit. So there's, never a better graphic showing you where COVID hit, when open houses kind of stopped or at least slowed way down from about week 10 all the way into about week 18, which was the early parts of summer. And then again, there's your seasonal dips, your 4th of July weekend and Easter. What this really tells you is that we are really not back yet at full strength with open house traffic, or not traffic, but open house homes being held open. And to look at this even farther back, I'll do the same layover instead of 2020 in the orange background. Let's look at it with 2019 in the orange background. And again, there's your Easter. For some reason, 4th of July last year wasn't as big of a dip. I don't know, in 2019. But you can see that in 2019, we actually had open house weekends where we had over 1,000 open houses out there. Right now, we're lucky if we have, 400 or under, close to 400 open houses. So we're not back with the open house traffic counts, I should say, the open house counts yet. I think that, possibly they will come, and, this is just those 2 years now represented by lines. These can all be kind of hard to look at, and I know some people like them without the dark background. So here's what 2019, 20, and 21 look like. So if someone says, are we doing a lot of open houses in our marketplace? The answer is predominantly not very many, because if you remember, this blue line is all the open houses, and for the large number of opens that we have in our marketplace right now are new construction. So if we have 100 resale properties open, that's a big weekend in our marketplace right now. So anyway, just some interesting numbers there to look at. So, all right, next week, I promise we will go back to market distractions. This will be the Iowa State Fair report. I'd love to try to recreate this with my wife at the Iowa State Fair and see, but I don't know if I'd be alive to come back and do the report next week, but I thought it'd be kind of fun. We'll see if she'll play along. Anyway, that's what we'll do next week. We'll talk about the market distractions. I appreciate your time every week watching the show. I get a lot of great comments and feedback. Be sure and subscribe. Hit the like button. Hit the bell so you get notified. And we will see you all again next week. Talk to you soon.